Yo, it is Stocks and Bars, the Stock Market Hip Hop Podcast, the only place you'll find finance mixed with hip hop. And this is part 2 of our conversation with Brian Sharp. We're going to talk about the growth of Autopilot, its future, and how the election could impact it. Let's go. I got my clique ready to use the money they got from jobs, encouraging, teaching them that it's not so hard. I'm doing this, making investing pop. You law, it's extra. You tuning in to Stocks and Bars. You are also kind of angling at something that I want to get into. You've mentioned a couple times about investment advisors. Seems like this app can also be a disruption in that market too, with you doing the flat fee. Now, I'm a fan of that because I personally, while I'm not a financial advisor, I am working to become one. And one of the things that I have a beef with is what you just talked about, is that 1%, no matter what, 1%, no matter what. I would like to also do the same thing, just charging a flat fee. That just means that however much money you make, it's the same. I think that is something that needs to come in to give access to people just like you and I. So we don't get, if more money grows, obviously the investment advisor makes more money, but if we're a good investment advisor, we're making money elsewhere anyway. So why am I trying to capitalize off of you making money? That doesn't make any sense to me. And that's something that I believe that should be changed. But anyway, so let's get back to Autopilot. All right. So you talked about the issues that you incurred in the beginning with the delay of the 45 days. And now, a lot of politicians are doing it a lot faster. So how transparent is Autopilot about that accuracy of the data that it gathers?
Yeah, so we try to be as accurate as possible, right? On it, we will show the average delay that we've seen from the specific politician over time. We also show the performance with the delay. So, and this isn't super clear, but we're trying to show the most accurate numbers to what would be represented if they used our platform. So if someone put money in, like if they put $10,000 in the Pelosi portfolio 12 months ago, they on our platform, they would be up 51%. They would be with the delays, with all of that stuff. They would be up 51%. So we try to be as transparent as possible, and we're not trying to like tell people they're going to make millions of dollars and this or that. We're just saying this is what would happen on our platform with everything involved.
So with everyone making money now, like COVID was one of the shining examples. You could have been like and pressed the button and picked any random stock, you would have made money. So obviously everyone is in this heyday and this euphoria of making money right now. Autopilot is brand new, came out in 2020. Now, when the market finally does eventually make a turn of some sort, and these politicians start to not make as much money or even go in a red, are you prepared for what that looks like? Have you seen anything like that up to date?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We haven't seen, so we launched Iris in 2020 and then Autopilot in 2023. And so Autopilot has actually only existed in a bull market. We haven't existed in a bear market. I think that's a very good question, which is what happens when you have these high risk portfolios subject to less than favorable terms in the market. And I think that's something where providing different portfolio strategies, which is like, hey, like a recession portfolio, right? Which is like in a down market, you could actually switch your portfolio from here to here. That's hard to do because now you have to like have some conviction on what the future holds. Like a lot of people in the bull market, when they see it goes down, they're like, it's gonna come back up. And then it goes down.
Yep.
So I think that'll be very interesting how we navigate that space. I think just being transparent as possible and giving people options and some literacy and education around this is the move.
All right. So how easy is it to switch? So let's say I like Pelosi. All right, maybe I don't like her personally. So I don't like her today. All right. And I want to go to this different person. How easy is it to switch?
Yeah, you click like a button, delete that portfolio, and then you just go to another portfolio and then initiate that one. So it's pretty simple. We want to make it easier where there's literally a switch button. You just click switch and then you just switch it to another pilot.
Easy enough.
Yep.
So you've got a lot of users on the platform now. And I'm pretty sure there's a wide range from, the young 15-year-old to the guy who is retired and he's living off of this. What's some surprising feedback that you've gotten from your users?
Yeah. It's a good question. Let's see. I think the users all want more pilots. They kind of want more options. They're like, hey, it would be really cool to get like some random people on here or like unusual whales on Twitter or liquidity or, you know, these real hedge fund managers. And that's something that we are definitely moving towards. That's not like super surprising for us. Let me try to think of like some surprising feedback. Uh, let's see. Yeah, I don't know if we've gotten any like shocking feedback.
Nothing up to date. You're still
Um,
young.
still, still young.
It'll come. And when it does, you have a ticket to come back on the show to tell me.
Sounds good.
So hip hop, we're trend changers, which we talked about, right? A lot of things that we talked about in hip hop is fashion related, money related, all of these things. And the reason why I do what I do is because I got tired of the same old, same old. All right. Every video has this expensive car driving around doing something with about four different women in it, that's scantily clad and living this lifestyle that is not real. It's not reality. The average person just cannot see any of that. So I just completely disconnected only when I got older. Once I came to my senses when I got older, that's when I finally said, all right, enough's enough. I need to expose myself to different things and different environments for my own personal growth. That's why I did it. So I want to talk about timing, right? Because in hip hop, we have battles, right? We got beef, diss tracks, all these things. It's something could be hot right now, but if you wait too late, it's too late. And nobody's trying to hear it, right? So tell me about how important it is to time these political investments. We talked about how Pelosi does what she does in the 7 days. How important is it in order to track the timing of these investments?
Yeah, this is a good question. I think you see certain things in stocks like very quick movements overnight. But you also see, stocks go up periodically over time, where it does take longer for people to invest money than it would be like on a diss track for like hip hop when people are kind of interested in the entertainment aspect. Um, to put like to put financial dollars behind something takes people a little more time, even hedge funds. So even if something happens, like you do see the stock market react over a longer period of time than
Right.
like let's say entertainment or social media. Um, so that's actually why I think Pelosi, even with all the delays, is still up, 50+% this year, is because, you know, it just takes time for people to react to it. And we have with the delays that she does, we have enough. We're it's not delayed enough where we're missing out on a large part of the alpha. Um, but that is cool how hip hop. I didn't know that about hip hop. That like it's very reactive, like very
It
quick.
is. It
Yeah.
is.
That's
And
something
the
we've known it from marketing, is the marketing aspect. You have to be like on the trends immediately because if you
yeah.
wait even like, 24 hours, it's gone. It's crazy.
And in the world we live with instant gratification now, it's even worse.
Yeah.
So if you get an invite to a battle of some sort, right? We'll just talk about the Kendrick and Drake thing that just recently unfolded. I mean, these guys will fly in tracks like three tracks within 2 or 3 days, and then they were just going at each other back and forth like that, right? Because the demand was there, and these guys were whether or not they writing it out, I don't know. That's not up to me. But anyway, the beef was just escalated so quickly overnight, basically, because instant gratification. You got to feed these demons is waiting for to see something happen. But that's the world we live in right now. All right. I want to talk about we talked about the green. Tell me the worst trade that you've seen a politician make up to date.
Oh, that's good. There's this, let me pull it up. There's this politician, Taylor Marie, what's her name?
Marjorie Green.
Yeah, that one. She's like the inverse Kramer of politicians. So she has, maybe she's just trying to trick all of us. I don't know what she's doing.
And
But we
she
just,
giving you a ghost portfolio.
yeah, let's see, pull it up. Um, yeah, she bought ASML Holdings,
Ooh,
and 2 weeks later it dropped 20%.
ooh.
Um, and
What
so she,
meeting was she in?
yeah, no, they're tricking her, you know. I mean, I think she is Republican, so maybe they're just giving her bad information.
Would you find that to be surprising that certain information is given to certain people just to get them to get out of somewhere?
Funny. I don't know. Yeah, potentially, I want to commit to any answer there.
All right, I have a off the wall question here. We talked about politics in general and how this is spread across Democrats, Republicans. Is there a way that you can tell on autopilot whether Democrats or Republicans trade better?
We don't track enough,
Okay.
but Unusual Whales on Twitter has done that analysis, and it came out that Democrats on average beat the SPY, and Republicans on average lose to the SPY. So
Okay.
seems like Democrats seem to have some more of an edge in the stock market.
So they cheat more, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying,
I know, I know.
but I'm not saying that. So
Hey, I ain't said nothing either. I just asked the question. Tell me investment trend that are among politicians that you think would surprise the average person.
it's a good question. Um, I don't know if this is like would surprise people, but maybe it was kind of like, oh wow, this is real, which is some of you just see a lot of these politicians before a lot of the wars start buying, war stocks and
Yep.
cybersecurity companies that have a connection to war. And you kind of just see that and you're like, holy shit, like this is real. People are dying. Like this is, and politicians are profiting from it. And it just kind of makes me sad. I'm just like, okay, this is sad.
Profiting off of chaos, which, to be honest, that is capitalism in in a nutshell, right? That's how it works.
Yep.
The thing that caught me off guard when I very first started learning about finances, in the Bush administration when they were going to war in Iraq and how Cheney was involved and what he was involved in. And I'm like, okay, that shouldn't be right, but here we are. This is how it works. They control it. He who owns the gold makes the rules. So back onto the trends, right? So have you noticed any trends or industries that politicians seem to favor more than others? I know we talked about the war ones, but are there any other ones that you feel that you've
I
seen?
think, yeah, I think what's kind of interesting is like, I mean, it actually differs per politician, but like big tech, you do see like Nancy Pelosi is heavily invested in like Nvidia, Microsoft. I think she has some Apple. Let me check. Um, but then you have like other politicians invested in, like Facebook. Um, yeah, Pelosi has a lot of big tech, so like Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, Apple, Google. Um, so
That's
that's
a big
also been a big
seven.
trend. Um, but yeah, like Dan Crenshaw, he was, I think they were trying to ban TikTok, and he was like a big
Mm,
proponent of banning TikTok.
I was getting ready to get to that.
And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, he buys Facebook stock like before. And if TikTok gets banned, that means more ad dollars get siphoned from TikTok to back to Facebook. and
Yeah.
then Facebook's, revenues will go higher. So that was kind of interesting. That I mean, he didn't trade with that much. His team actually responded to us and was like, he only bought $15,000 of Facebook. Pelosi's trading with hundreds of millions. Crenshaw's only trading with tens of thousands. It's still a lot to like the average American,
Right.
but it's way different magnitudes.
The TikTok thing cracked me up because the whole premise of it is that we don't want a foreign country having access to our information. Okay. But you cool with everybody else having access to our information in the United States? Like what difference does it make?
Yeah.
What they gonna do with the information? The same thing we doing with the information. You don't think Google has everything on you right now? You don't think Facebook has everything on you right now in order to predict what you may or may not do? I thought it was hilarious that that was the premise of it all. And then we were scared of it. You scared of them having it? What do you think the people who actually have it was going to do against you right now? Anyway, let's go back to what we're talking about here. Sorry, Autopilot is set in stone. We got a solid community. How did you find right now that the community is actually thriving and working together?
On Autopilot.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is like they put dollars behind it, and there's no better way to like be part of a community than to like, put your money where your mouth is. And again, it's been fortunate that, her portfolio has done so well and that like winning really brings people together. Um, so that's been a big part. But I think overall, like I think the community is also just really on the same page about like reducing corruption and like saying like I could be a part of the solution here. Like Autopilot doesn't want to be like the hero or the savior. We just want each person to feel like they're the hero, that they're actually solving this problem because they are. Like without each individual, like it's not going to work. And everything we do, everything we build from here on out, it like just depends on the individual person to do it.
That's the way democracy works. Everybody gets together and we make a change. The divisive tactics that they use against us now, which we talked about with TikTok and all that, that's what they were really scared of, in my opinion, is that TikTok was actually more successful at giving information and education to people that they can use and enlighten them versus the controls that we have internally that try to minimize that. But that's another conspiracy theory podcast. All right. Now, politicians of all kind, right? They all come from different backgrounds. We got some that are in law, we got some that are in business or whatever. Do you find any differences in the strategies between the backgrounds of politicians?
Yeah, I think what we'll see, and I don't want to like generalize, but I think there's like individual cases when I forgot which politicians sits on like the war committees and then like buys a company, Humasite, right before Humasite gets a contract with Ukraine. And there's like it's kind of makes sense, like it just makes sense. So
Yeah.
um you just kind of see like in some cases a very very specific stock buying based on the committees that politicians sit on, but we haven't done like an analysis like is it like what ratio, how general is this. We've just seen specific cases of this.
Okay. Okay. Now, in hip hop, we love to represent our cities, right? You'll hear a lot of different artists shout out Atlanta, New York, whatever they're from, LA, all of this. So, are there certain regions or industries that politicians from specific areas seem to invest in more than others?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's a good connection. Is like Pelosi is in San Francisco, and a lot of the stocks that she has are headquartered
Tech
in San
base.
Francisco,
Yep. Palo
right?
Alto.
Yep. So, like, she actually literally owns Palo Alto Networks. So, which is a stock. Let me get.
KNW.
Yeah, PNW. It is a cybersecurity to
Yep.
protect organization. Yeah. So she definitely owns the companies that are in her territory. I would want to look for like some other politicians. I do think, a lot of the Fortune 500 companies are in California, so it kind of makes sense. But Yeah, that would be. I'll talk to Chris, see if he wants to do a little research there.
Okay. And you can always come back.
Right. Right.
Autopilot is growing. So how do you see it evolving over time? Now
I,
you're gonna get a lot of beefs here, right? Because you're gonna these guys got some money, so they're gonna try to fight you at some point in time. So how do you see it evolving, and
I
how do you plan to go against these guys when they do come your way?
there's a chance they've already tried come our way.
Okay.
I can't really talk about it. I think this election matters a lot
Mhm.
for different things. For us specifically, the results could shut us down, depending on who wins. So this is a big election. I think we have some strategies to combat it, but the government is pretty powerful and
Yep.
they kind of get what they want. So no matter, it's kind of sad because I do think America used to be a place of like freedom, and if you're on the right side of history, like you'll succeed. But I think we're at that inflection point where yeah, it might not be that case. So I think
Too much
we're doing
money.
too much money.
Yeah, too much money.
So I'll be able to talk more about that soon. But yeah, I think where we're excited to go, in a positive outcome, is really, we'll get more freedom to do what we want to do. We get politicians banned from trading, and then we start launching like this platform where anyone could post portfolios, right? Like there's a lot of regulation around who could be a financial advisor, and what we're going to be doing is launching a way and kind of how like before with like a taxi driver you had to have a taxi medallion, and Uber was like, no, you just have to have a car. We want
Yep.
to do the same thing, and we were working with regulators to make sure this could happen in a safe way where you don't need to pass all these exams. um, you just got to put a portfolio up on the platform. We have to supervise you and make sure you like agree to a code of ethics where you're not, front running trades, and you're not like,
Mhm.
betting against your own stuff, like having people do one thing, you do the opposite. Um, but I think that could happen in the next few months. And we actually want to find the best investors in the world. And we actually have like a savings account from like the profit we've made on Autopilot that is going to go to spread the word. And we want to do a $1 million stock competition to find the
Ooh.
best trader in the world. And so in 2025, we're going to announce that anyone could post a portfolio. They can connect their Robinhood or whatever brokerage they're on, and we'll track the history, and the number one performer wins $1 million and becomes
That's
a
what's
pilot
up.
on our platform. Um, and we want to actually do those competitions very frequently, and we hope that amount of money is significant, that it just attracts eyeballs and attention and people talk about it. But then two, that it's like that money then goes to that person's portfolio and they could start making money, and other people could follow along and benefit that
Yeah.
way. So I think that's how you disrupt the industry. You just have to have big numbers behind it. In the same way Mr. Beast is like, I gave my friends $1 million, whatever. You just have to have big numbers to get the attention. And um, yeah, I think that'll be the next step for us.
Speaking of attention, invest like a politician. Saw that scroll across the UFC fight, right? I was like, oh snap, they did it. They made it happen. I was very excited to see that and to get that type of exposure. So since then, have you seen a swarm of people come to you since that event?
Yeah, I think it was a very fun event. A lot of untold stories from that event, but
Can you
uh,
share one with me after this?
I can share one. But yeah, I think it legitimized us as a company. I think people are like, oh, they're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, but I think sponsoring a massive event at like the Las Vegas Sphere was like a really big deal for people. Like, wait, this isn't just some small company, even though we are pretty small. They're actually doing some fun, big stuff, kind of like how Red Bull does fun marketing stunts. Like we wanted to pool a very fun marketing stunt as well. And so we didn't just, put our banner in the octagon, but we also hired like a fake Nancy Pelosi, like a Nancy
So
Pelosi. Like we got her like front row tickets to the UFC, like ringside. And the goal was for Donald Trump to be there, and then to have like Donald Trump and this fake Pelosi meet each other and shake hands. And then we had a MAGA hat right in the back, so she was then gonna like put a MAGA hat on, and the media would have picked it up and been like, Donald Trump shakes fake Nancy Pelosi's hand,
It would have blew up.
it would have blown up talking about, insider trading. But that was the day. I think he was busy that day. He was in Las Vegas, had a rally, but was not able. He had to leave early and was not able to attend the fight. So we kind of lost a lot of that marketing stunt stuff. But
Yeah.
there's still a lot of fun stuff. There's YouTubers like the Nelk Boys. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. Steve will do it, and so they saw this Pelosi and like the untold stories. Like Steve will do it, like grabbed her and like made out with her or like kissed her, and I was just like, whoa, what's going on? Like inside the arena, just kind of funny.
All right, for the last question I have for you, all right, could you shout out one big idea for people who are looking to invest like a politician? What would it be?
Well, I'm not able legally. Again, there's a lot of weird stuff, so I can't really like give any stock advice. But Autopilot, it's kind of fun. I hate like plugging it myself, but that's
do
like
it. I've been plugging it.
Yeah. So I'd say Autopilot. There's a lot of fun portfolios on there. Nancy Pelosi stock tracker, Inverse Kramer, Michael Burry, Warren Buffett. There's also an app called Quiver Quantitative, or a social media page.
I saw you recently partnered with them.
Exactly. We just recently partnered with them. They also, analyze certain data across the internet and also politicians' data, lobbying data. And so they actually have this lobbyist portfolio where they look at what companies are lobbying the government, and they're able to develop like this whole strategy around that. And it's super cool. I would look into it. And we're pretty excited to partner with them.
So can you tell me more about the partnership? Is it like a plugin? Because I went to it and I saw that it kind of looks similar to what you got going on. So is it the same where you go to their website, you can pick a portfolio, plug in, as long as you have an account with you, then it all works together? Or how does it work?
Yeah, exactly. It's very similar to Autopilot, where you just download the Autopilot app, then you click on one of the Quiver quantitative strategies, and then you just, Autopilot from our application.
Done. That's the beauty of it. All right. Before I get out of here, it's hip hop time. All right. We're not going to do any type of quiz, but do you have a specific hip hop artist that you're listening to right now?
Let's see. Do you know this guy named Ono? It's like really small.
I can't say I heard of him as of yet. No.
Okay. But I would say, what would it be? I would say like I'm a big fan of Eminem.
Okay.
Big fan of Jay-Z. Those would be like the two guys kind of into.
And then what if a trader, okay, let's say you're a trader now, right? You go on to Autopilot. What would the soundtrack be for you?
That's a good question.
Doesn't have to be hip hop. Points if it is.
I would say I'm Not Afraid by Eminem, I guess.
All right. There it is. Yo, Brian, it's been great chopping it up with you, man. I've learned a lot about Autopilot. This is going to be in the show notes, so anybody who's looking for it, the link will be there. You can click there. You can look around. If it's interesting to you, sign up, get yourself a nice little account, deposit your money, and you can emulate whatever trader they have there on the site. So before we get out of here, let everybody know your IG handle or how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, for sure. Brian Shart. Spelled, sorry for the last name, but SCHRTP on Instagram. But also like Join Autopilot on Instagram, Join Autopilot on Twitter, on X. Yeah.
Yo, thank you so much, man. I really, truly appreciate your time. What I do on my podcast for every single guest on here is I tell them that I love them and my community and my culture. I believe firmly that we have been shunned from saying this because it just has this connotation of being weird or whatever it may be. But I don't find it difficult at all to tell somebody that I love them because I truly want the best for anybody. That's why I do what I do. I want everybody to succeed, and I want the same for you. So I love you, brother. Thank you for showing me some love on this podcast and just being a part of it, man. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And we out. Yo, Jay, let me hold this beat for a minute, fam. Put some finance to this. Yo, shout out Nancy Pelosi, bitch. If you copy her, then chances are you'll both be rich. Autopilot is the answer. No one told me this. Pick a politician off the app and your growth reach quick. Who would have thought this existed? That someone invents a system to help you get in the system. Helping brothers and sisters, moms, dads, aunts, uncles, cousins. This is insisted. Dollars we obtain, we could change how we could get them. Easier ways to invest. Every episode that I speak, you engage with the best. Even when you hear me on beats, every phrase I select is to help you to beat the beats out the cage. I'm obsessed with financial literacy. It's politics as usual. Finance is giving us keys, and politicians use them well. Me and Brian, the team, redefining how you view the scale. The only hip hop made to improve your wealth. Stocks and bars.
You know how we do. That's clean money. You ain't seen money in your life. Politics as usual. You know how we do. That's clean money. My life is based on sacrifices. I'm portfolio. The lot of big money in my tickets. You know how we do.
Stocks and bars, stocks